En støttropp på isen ved Peipus-sjøen. Denne øya besatt av bolsjevikene.
This Norwegian newsreel from 1944 fits in well with the cover of this periodical, which shows a reconnaissance team in winter conditions. It's from the series Die Wehrmacht and is an Ausgaba A special edition from February 23, 1944, number 4. Its first article describes the evolution from the rocket launcher to the tracked Panzerwerfer 42, which, as the name implies, first saw service in 1942. Using the article as a framework and adding photographs and showing rare film footage, I'll introduce the weapon platform's development and characteristics, and we'll see it in action. At the end of this video, we'll take a look at a hybrid version of the Panzerwerfer, so stick around. This weapon system is effective both on the attack and in defense. The sound of the screaming rocket barrage lets the infantry know that help is here. That sound alone is also capable of often forcing the enemy to break off its attack. The deciding factor in the use of this weapon system is its maneuverability, which is key when positioning the battery so that it can attack the enemy effectively. After firing, it must also be capable of quickly moving out of the operational area, because the enemy uses all of its resources to find and destroy this feared weapon. The trick is to constantly change locations and continue harassing the enemy relentlessly. Arriving to a new operational location, the process of preparing to fire is extensive. In order to reduce the complication, the rocket system has been mounted on a tracked platform. Now able to master the most difficult of terrain, the German rocket platform is more deadly than ever. But that's not an accurate description of how the development of the Panzerwerfer came about. With the invasion of the Soviet Union in the summer of 1941, the Wehrmacht commanders were impressed by the destructive capability of the Soviet Katyusha, which first rolled into battle on July 14th, and so began requesting something similar. This rare captured German footage shows soldiers retreating in complete disorder. A battery of Panzerwerfer drive in the direction of a Soviet breakthrough. Because of the tracks, the vehicles are able to travel over the frozen ground at high speed towards the ordered area of operation. The crew of the Panzerwerfer sit well protected from infantry fire by the vehicle's body armor. To say that they were well protected is a bit overstated. Built for lightness and mobility, the vehicle's armor was thick enough to protect against most shrapnel and small arms fire, but little else. For close quarters fighting, the Panzerwerfer's only defense was the mounted MG-34 or 42 machine gun and the handheld Panzerschreck anti-tank weapon. As can be seen in this photo, when loading the rocket launcher, the crew was quite vulnerable. This is the back of the vehicle. A large double hatch in the rear plate was the main entrance to the crew compartment. There were 3 storage bins on each side above the tracks. Looking in from the back, we see the gunner's seat and hand crank mechanism that is used for rotating and aiming the launcher. Along both sides of the interior are ammunition racks. Above the racks is space for 2 Panzerschreck anti-tank weapons to be kept. This is Deutsche Wochenschau footage from December of 1943. In a counterattack, a tank unit manages to take back an important high ground. A battery of Panzerwerfer is quickly moved up, and within seconds launches a devastating rocket barrage deep into the enemy lines. the operational area near the critical point where the Soviets have broken through is reached. Only seconds later, the launcher is loaded and ready to fire. A Panzergrenadier protects the exposed crew that is hard at work with the mounted machine gun. This text, of course, implies that the Panzerwerfer was not able to travel with its rocket launcher loaded. Although it would supposedly only take a few seconds to prepare for firing, the crew would be exposed, which would otherwise be an unnecessary risk. Looking at the first clip again, this seems to be the case. Before firing, the crew is seen outside of the Panzerwerfer.
Kampf an der Ostfront.
This footage is from September of 1944. German Panzerwerfer batteries soften up a Soviet bridgehead in preparation for an armored attack. The attack is successful. When the Soviets attempt to bring up reinforcements to hold the position, a rocket barrage is used to stop them in their tracks. The Panzerwerfer 42 was certainly an effective weapon, but it also had its problems. Namely, they were expensive to build, and their ammunition was an unusual size, which meant that special ammunition transporters also had to be produced. This made mass production more difficult. In addition, the Panzerwerfer 42's rockets didn't have fins, which made them less accurate than the Soviet Katyusha. By the end of 1943, a new launcher system had been developed in the Czech city of Brno, or in German Brünn, which more closely resembled its Soviet counterpart. The rockets retained the Soviet 8.2 cm caliber and were fin stabilized, which, when fired, spun and made them more accurate. The prototype was fitted with 4 rails bearing 96 rockets, but such a construction appeared to be too bulky. The production version retained only 2 rows with 48 rockets. Very few of these machines were built, and those that were saw little combat. These photos are from a film reel from mid-1944 that show this hybrid rocket launcher being demonstrated to Guderian. The crew loads the rockets and then fires them at a firing range, evidently to highlight its accuracy. If you are a Patreon channel member, you have access to see this sensational footage. If not, please consider becoming one. Thanks for watching.